My name is Jessica. I'm 18 years old and I live in a small, quiet town in Vermont. Our home is simple, with a little garden and a white fence. I live with my mom and dad. Life here is calm and peaceful. But 4 years ago, something happened that changed my life forever. It was my 14th birthday. I had just come home from school. I still remember the cold wind blowing outside and the smell of chocolate cake in the kitchen. My mom called, "Jessica, come in," she said. I walked into the living room. My parents were smiling. There was a big box on the floor with a red ribbon on top. It moved a little. I stepped closer. "What's in the box?" I asked. My dad said, "Open it and see." I carefully untied the ribbon and opened the lid. Inside, there was a small brown puppy with floppy ears and big, shiny eyes. He looked up at me and wagged his tiny tail. "A puppy?" I gasped. My heart felt full. I had always dreamed of having a dog. My mom nodded. "He's yours. Happy birthday." I bent down and picked him up. He was soft and warm. He licked my cheek and made a tiny sound. "What's his name?" I asked. "You get to name him," said my dad. I looked at the puppy. He looked brave and curious. Even though he was small, he seemed strong. "Max," I said with a smile. "His name is Max." That was the beginning of our story. That day, I didn't just receive a gift, I found a best friend. Max was small, curious, and full of energy. From the very first day, he followed me everywhere. If I walked into the kitchen, he came behind me. If I sat on the couch, he jumped up and sat beside me. When I did my homework, he lay under the table, sleeping softly. He loved to explore. He sniffed every corner of the house. He chewed on shoes, socks, and even one of my school books. I remember laughing when I found little teeth marks on my math notebook. I held it up and said, "Max, I know you don't like math, but this is too much." Max made me laugh every day. As he grew, he became stronger and faster. I knew it was time to start training him. I wanted Max to understand me and listen when I spoke, so we began with simple words. The first word I taught him was sit. I held a treat in my hand and said the word clearly. Max looked at me, confused. He wagged his tail and jumped up. I tried again. "Sit, Max." I gently pushed his bottom down. When he sat, I gave him the treat. "Good boy," I said, smiling. It took many days, but Max learned. Slowly, he began to understand other words too. Stay, come, no, and good boy. Training was not always easy. Sometimes Max ran away to chase a butterfly. Sometimes he got distracted by a bird or a leaf. But I didn't get angry. I was patient. I knew he was still learning, just like I was. One day, I was in the yard with Max. I said, "Sit," and he sat. I said, "Stay," and he stayed still. I walked a few steps away and called, "Come, Max." He ran to me, his ears flapping and his eyes shining. I hugged him tightly. "I'm so proud of you," I whispered into his fur. From that day, Max and I understood each other better. We were more than just girl and dog. We were a team. Max and I quickly found our rhythm. We had our own little routine, something special between us. Every day felt better with him in it. Each morning, Max was the first to wake up. Before the sun even rose, he would jump onto my bed and nudge me with his nose. His tail wagged like a little flag, and sometimes he barked softly to say, "It's time." I opened my eyes, still sleepy, and smiled. "Okay, Max, I'm up." It was our little dance, him waking me up, me pretending to resist, and both of us laughing in our own way. We went outside for a walk before breakfast. The air was fresh and cool. The sky was sometimes gray, sometimes blue. Max loved this part of the day. He ran across the grass, sniffed everything, and chased after birds that were too fast for him. He never caught one, but that didn't stop him from trying. At the park, other people were walking their dogs too. Max always wanted to greet every single one. He was friendly, and the other dogs seemed to like him. Sometimes, they ran together in circles, barking and playing. When we got back home, Max drank water and lay on the floor while I got ready for school. Before I left, I always knelt beside him and said, "Be good, Max, I'll be back soon." He never replied, of course, but he always gave me a look that said, "I'll wait for you." After school, he was always waiting by the door. The moment I stepped in, he jumped up with excitement. It was like he hadn't seen me in weeks, even though I had only been gone a few hours. In the evenings, we sat together in the garden. I would tell him about my day, who I sat next to in class, what the teacher said, how boring math was again. He listened without blinking, his head tilted like he truly cared. Sometimes I read aloud to him. He didn't understand the words, but he loved the sound of my voice. Other times, we just sat in silence, side by side, watching the sky turn orange and pink as the sun set. At night, Max had his own bed in my room close to mine. He curled into a small ball and closed his eyes. If I had a bad dream or woke up scared, Max would lift his head, come over, and rest beside me until I felt safe again. With Max, every day felt better. He made my mornings brighter, my afternoons more fun, and my nights more peaceful. It happened during winter. The air was cold, and snow covered the streets like a soft white blanket. Max loved the snow. He used to run outside, jump into snow piles, and catch snowflakes with his mouth. He looked so happy, and I laughed every time I watched him play. But one day, something was different. Max didn't wake me up like he usually did. When I opened my eyes, he was still lying in his bed. His head was down, and he looked tired. I walked over to him. "Max?" I called gently. He didn't move. I knelt beside him and touched his head. It felt warm, too warm. His eyes opened slowly, and he gave a small whimper. My heart dropped. "You're not okay," I whispered. I told my parents right away. My dad picked him up, and we drove to the vet. I held Max in my arms the whole time. He didn't bark. He didn't even look outside the window like he usually did. He just rested in my lap, weak and quiet. At the clinic, the vet checked him and said Max had a high fever, his stomach was upset, and he might have eaten something bad. I felt tears in my eyes. "Will he be okay?" I asked. The vet smiled kindly. "Yes, but he needs rest, medicine, and care. You'll have to keep him warm and give him his medicine every day." We took Max home. I made a little bed for him with soft blankets beside the heater. I sat with him all day, talking to him, stroking his fur, and giving him his medicine, like the doctor said. For 3 days, Max didn't play, he didn't wag his tail, he just lay there, sleeping most of the time. I was so worried I didn't want to lose him. I prayed every night, "Please let Max get better, I still need him." On the 4th morning, something changed. I heard a small bark. I sat up quickly. Max was sitting up in his bed, his ears perked, his eyes brighter. When he saw me, his tail wagged slowly. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I smiled and whispered, "You're back." He stood up and walked to me, licking my hand. It was a simple moment, but it meant the world to me. Max got better slowly, day by day. He began to eat more, walk more, and even play again. His energy came back, and so did his joy. After Max got sick and slowly recovered, something changed between us. Not in a loud or sudden way, but gently, quietly. It was like we could understand each other without words. Our connection became deeper than ever. He followed me even more closely now. If I moved from the living room to the kitchen, he came too. If I went outside to read under the tree, Max would sit beside me, resting his head on my leg. Sometimes, I looked at him and said nothing. He looked back at me as if he already knew what I was thinking. When I was happy, Max was happy. He barked and ran in circles, his tail wagging like a little flag. But when I was sad, he didn't make a sound. He just came close and stayed with me. One evening, I came home from school feeling tired and upset. I had done poorly on a test, and I had argued with a friend. I didn't want to talk to anyone, I just wanted to be alone. I sat on the edge of my bed, tears in my eyes. Max walked in slowly. He didn't jump or bark. He simply placed his paw on my leg and looked up at me. I hugged him tightly. "You always know," I whispered. We sat like that for a long time, no noise, no questions, just silence, comfort, and love. At school, I started writing about Max in my journal. One day, my English teacher read one of my stories and said, "Jessica, you write about your dog like he's a person." I smiled. "He's more than a dog," I replied. "He's my best friend." Max was there for every birthday, every holiday, every quiet evening in the garden. We shared everything: meals, memories, and little moments that didn't seem big at the time, but meant everything to me. I remember one summer night when we sat outside, watching the stars. The sky was full of tiny lights. I pointed up and said, "Do you think dogs can dream of stars, Max?" He rested his head on my lap, and I imagined that his dreams were peaceful, full of open fields, soft clouds, and endless days with me. He didn't need words. I didn't need explanations. We just needed each other. Now I am 18 years old. Max is 4. He is not the little puppy he used to be, but to me he is still my baby. His fur is a little thicker now, and sometimes he sleeps more than he used to. But he still wakes me up in the mornings. He still waits at the door when I come home. He is still my best friend. Lately, I have been thinking more about the future. I will finish school soon, and I must decide what to do next. Some of my friends are moving to big cities. Some are starting jobs or going to college. I feel both excited and scared. Growing up is not easy. But one thing I know for sure: I want to do something that helps animals. Maybe I'll study to become a vet, or maybe I'll work in an animal shelter. I want to care for pets the way I've cared for Max, and the way he's cared for me. Max has taught me many things. He taught me how to be patient. He taught me how to listen, even in silence. He showed me what it means to give love without asking for anything in return. When I think of love, I think of Max. Sometimes, I sit with him in the garden and tell him about my dreams. I want to live in a place with trees, I tell him. A house with space for you to run. I want to help animals. I want a life that feels full and kind, I said. He listens, lying beside me, his head resting on my foot. In those quiet moments, I feel like he understands everything. But I also know Max won't be with me forever. Dogs live shorter lives than people. That thought makes my heart hurt. I try not to think about it too much, but some days I do. So I make a promise to myself. I will make every day with Max count. I will take more walks with him. I will sit longer in the garden. I will take more pictures. I will hug him tighter. I will say I love you every chance I get. Because love is not just about forever, it's about now. Max is part of my story, and I am part of his. Whatever the future brings, we have today. And today is full of tail wags, quiet moments, warm eyes, and love. Thank you for listening to my story. Max is not just a dog. He is my friend, my comfort, my family. He has been with me through good days and bad days. He never judged me, he never left me. He simply stayed with love, with patience, with kindness. This story is about a dog, but it is also about love, trust, and growing up. I hope you have something or someone in your life like Max, a friend who sees you, a friend who stays, a friend who doesn't need words to understand your heart. Even as time passes and life changes, I will always remember the little brown puppy who changed my world. Max will always be part of my story. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story. Remember, every story helps you learn and grow. Keep listening, keep learning, and never give up. I will see you next time with another exciting story. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share with your friends. Subscribe for more English stories and lessons. Hit the bell icon to get notified when we post a new video. Take care and stay positive. Bye for now.